According to legend, in the era of the shinobi in Japan, powerful shinobi clans had been engaging in warfare with one another for centuries, each vying for complete dominance over Japan. The resulting violence and bloodshed created a surge of negative energy that drew demons from all realms of hell to invade the country and possess its inhabitants. Hence, the shinobi chose to put aside their conflicts and unite in defense of humanity. As the legend goes, a deity from the heavenly realm appeared before them, informing them of an ancient trial that, if completed, would bestow upon them incredible power capable of driving the invading demons back to hell. With the shinobi successfully banishing the demons, the surviving members realized that the threat was far from over, and that the demons would inevitably return. Thus, they established the Crimson Empire, led by the Crimson Head, to prepare for the next invasion. Afterward, the deity separated the Crimson Empire from the flow of time and charged it with the duty of safeguarding the First Flame, a divine energy with the power to break the seal that imprisoned the demon god known as the Falling. And so, the conflict between the shinobi and the invading demons continued. The scene changes, and we are introduced to Yasuki, a shinobi and our protagonist's father. He is seen carrying a demon blade and a pink bag containing 2 severed hands of the Night Hand as he approaches a building. Upon reaching the entrance of the building, Yasuki drops to his knees and places the pink bag on the floor, revealing its grisly contents. He greets a mysterious old man, the leader of the Crimson Empire, also known as the Crimson Head, with his hands and face stained with blood as he speaks. The old man notices the 2 severed hands and inquires about the whereabouts of the Night Hand's body. Yasuki explains that the Night Hand managed to escape, but he was able to sever both of its hands, and also adds that the injuries he inflicted on the Night Hand should prove fatal. The Crimson Head expressed satisfaction with Yasuki's actions and stated that he would order the cells to track down and eliminate the Night Hand, much to Yasuki's surprise. The old man then revealed that the mission Yasuki had undertaken was highly secretive and should not be disclosed to anyone, not even to the clan heads, as it would bring disgrace to the Crimson Empire. Yasuki was intrigued and asked the Crimson Head if he could pose a question, to which the latter agreed. Yasuki questioned why he was chosen to undertake a secret mission against someone as powerful as the Night Hand, and how the Crimson Head was certain that he would emerge victorious. In response, the Crimson leader revealed that the Night Hand had sacrificed his family for the sake of power, abandoning everything he had sworn to protect in his relentless pursuit of becoming a clan head. On the other hand, Yasuki had always sought power in order to defend the weaker ones. The Crimson Head further explained that he had been observing Yasuki since his childhood and had witnessed him overcoming numerous challenges that others would have avoided. According to the Crimson Head, the Night Hand believed that he could only become stronger by devouring souls into his demon blade. However, without a strong will, the negative energy accumulated within the blade would eventually corrupt the wielder and consume their soul. In contrast, Yasuki was able to defeat the Night Hand despite these odds, which is why he will be appointed as the new clan head, much to Yasuki's surprise. The Crimson Head bid farewell to Yasuki and advised him to visit his wife, as she must be waiting for him. He also mentioned that he needed to make preparations with the cells. Following this, Yasuki left, and in the next scene, we see him leaping from one branch to another at astonishing speed, with a joyful expression on his face. As Yasuki arrived at the temple where his wife Aniko was about to give birth, she expressed concern about the blood stains on his face, however he reassured her that it was not his own. Just as the shinobi priests began the sealing ritual for the birth, they were interrupted by Mugo, another shinobi who claimed that the temple had been breached. Yasuki asked for more information about what had happened. Mugo's behavior suddenly became strange as he questioned whether the sealing ritual had started. Yasuki was surprised and confused by this development. When Mugo realized that the ritual had not fully commenced, he emitted a powerful aura, alarming Yasuki that something was wrong. Suddenly, something began to emerge from Mugo's body, and a demon appeared, brimming with excitement. Yasuki was stunned to realize that it was a demon, and the demon introduced himself as a resident of the sixth hell, where the most powerful demons reside. The priests recognized the mark of the fallen and identified the demon as a black halo demon. The two priests immediately created a barrier around Aniko to protect her, but one of them was swiftly killed by the black halo demon, surprising everyone. The remaining priest explained that he could not perform the ritual without the other priest who had just died, and suggested that they leave. Yasuki then told his wife to escape while he distracted the demon. Although Aniko was worried, Yasuki assured her that everything would be fine. Upon Aniko's escape, Yasuki bravely confronted the Black Halo demon, ready to strike. However, the demon fiercely attacked him, sending Yasuki flying backwards with great force. As the demon noticed Aniko's disappearance, it summoned a horde of demons from its body, possessing the dead shinobi around and commanding them to come back with the baby in Aniko wound and also return with Aniko head. In the midst of chaos, the Black Halo demon suddenly sensed a tremendous roar of energy, interrupting its wicked plan. Yasuki emerged, unleashing an enormous surge of energy that stunned the demon. As they get ready to fight, the Black Halo charges towards Yasuki, but Yasuki uses his secret ninja art to summon numerous fire blasts, which he launches at the demon, successfully halting its advance. Despite the attack, the demon remains unfazed. Yasuki then immediately strikes the demon, but it counters with an energy beam from its chest, which narrowly misses Yasuki. The demon praised Yasuki's skills, but Yasuki remained unfazed. Suddenly, the demon used the same skill he used to kill the priest on Yasuki by summoning a portal close to him and thrusting his arm out of it. The demon repeated this attack several times, but Yasuki managed to dodge them all, causing the demon to become annoyed as he saw knife marks on his arm. Yasuki then launched another attack using his secret ninja art, successfully dealing damage to the demon. However, it turned out that the demon had disguised himself as a shinobi, and he quickly launched another attack that sent Yasuki flying backward. The demon then prepared to strike Yasuki with his energy beam. The scene transitions to Yasuki's wife Aniko, who is seen fleeing from the enraged shinobi sent by the demon. Despite being pregnant, she uses her secret ninja art to defend herself, but the number of attackers keeps increasing until she falls off a cliff. She manages to grab onto the edge, but the possessed shinobi approaches her, ready to strike her down. Fortunately, the shinobi priests who escaped the temple with her arrive and save her. The scene then transitions to Aniko, who has given birth to a baby boy, the protagonist. The priests explain to her that it's too late to perform the sealing ritual, so they have to exterminate the baby. Aniko hesitates, but the priest explains that the baby's fate was sealed the moment the other priest was killed. Tears flow down Aniko's face as she remains hesitant, but the priest is resolute. The scene shifts back to the ongoing battle between Yasuki and the Black Halo demon. The demon was pleased with himself after successfully launching his energy beam at Yasuki, thinking he had won the fight. However, he was taken aback when he spotted Yasuki holding onto the roof of a pillar in the building, seemingly having dodged his attack. Yasuki acknowledged the demon's strength, before unsheathing his sword and preparing to end the fight. The demon taunted Yasuki, questioning whether his demonic blade was enough to defeat him. Yasuki did not answer, instead emitting a tremendous amount of energy before attacking the demon. The demon retaliated by launching another energy beam, but Yasuki was able to slice through it with his sword, much to the demon's surprise. Despite the demon launching a range of attacks, Yasuki was able to dodge them all before countering by smashing the demon's head onto the ground. The battle moves outside of the temple where the demon tries to hit Yasuki with another energy beam, but Yasuki deftly dodges it and counterattacks. The demon narrowly avoids Yasuki's attack and realizes that Yasuki is not an ordinary shinobi. However, before the demon can react, Yasuki charges in for another attack. The demon has no choice but to launch an ultimate attack, but with worries for his wife on his mind, Yasuki blocks the attack and disperses it with a single punch. The demon is surprised that Yasuki was able to cancel out his negative energy. Yasuki continues to attack the demon, ultimately piercing through the Black Halo demon's chest with his sword and unleashing a deadly strike using his secret ninja art, creating a massive hole in the demon's chest. The demon falls to his knees, shocked and questioning who Yasuki is. Yasuki reveals that he is one of the 9 clan heads, the highest rank in the Crimson Empire. The demon asks if Yasuki used this power to defeat Night Hand, and Yasuki realizes that this is how the Black Halo demon found their location. The focus returns to Aniko, who pleads for her child's life while the priest remains resolute that sacrificing the child is the only way to restore peace to the world. As the priest readies an attack to carry out the sacrifice, a massive fire blast suddenly strikes and kills him, surprising Aniko. She soon realizes that it was caused by the previously possessed shinobi. Driven by her resolve to save her family, she draws her sword and charges at the possessed shinobi, causing an explosive impact at their location. As the explosion catches Yasuki's attention, the demon seizes the opportunity to strike his right eye. Taking advantage of the distraction, the demon bids farewell to Yasuki, explaining that their encounter was not the end and that they would meet again. Rushing to the mountain in search of his wife, Yasuki finds her belongings in a lifeless body that he believes to be his wife's. Overcome with grief, Yasuki breaks down in tears. The scene shifts to the headquarters of the Crimson Star Empire, where Yasuki and Aniko's firstborn child, Sekiryu, is seen with a girl named Mizuki. Sekiryu expresses his concerns for his parents, but Mizuki reassures him and urges him to go to bed, promising that he can meet his younger brother the following day. Sekiryu complies with her request. 13 years have passed, and we now see our protagonist, Yu, a 13-year-old boy who appears to be in a hurry. Suddenly, a familiar person jumps over him, prompting Yu to begin parkouring through the roofs to keep up. However, Yu slips and almost falls, but the mysterious person catches him. Taking advantage of the person's distraction, Yu jumps over them and runs to his house, feeling victorious. As Yu opens his house door, the mysterious person punches him, annoyed at Yu for cheating. We then see Yu sitting down to eat his lunch, but the mysterious person interrupts by throwing their slippers. Yu manages to dodge the first slipper, but unbeknownst to him, there was another slipper behind him that hits him in the face. The mysterious person is revealed to be Yu's mother, Aniko, who insists that he wash his hands before eating, much to Yu's annoyance. After they finish eating, we see Yu and Aniko watching the news. Suddenly, a breaking news story shows a man who appears to be possessed by a demon, holding a knife with bloodstains all over him. As they watch, the man attacks a police officer who tries to restrain him, causing the news to cut to a correction. As Aniko turns off the television, Yu asks what was wrong with the man and why his eyes were blue. However, his mother tries to change the subject by suggesting that the man was probably on drugs or something. The conversation soon shifts to Aniko praising Yu's strength, and he is flattered, stating that he will surpass her someday, much to her excitement. Yu then asked why they keep doing random trainings, to which Aniko replied that it was to make him strong and courageous. This flattered Yu, causing him to flex his abs, but he was met with an elbow to his guts by Aniko, much to his annoyance. Yu then asked if he had any family members, but Aniko pushed the conversation away, stating that she would explain to him someday. This greatly annoyed Yu, as he lamented to his mom that she had been saying the same thing for 5 years. He then pointed to his cute little dog, Chunky, stating that it was his only friend, and despite that, all he does is eat and sleep, much to Chunky's annoyance. Aniko tried to change the conversation, but Yu didn't flinch as he said that he didn't know anything about himself or where he came from, and most importantly, he had never seen a picture of his father. Aniko was initially speechless, but she urged Yu that it was not the time, and one day he would know the reason. However, one thing she had to say was that he was the greatest man in the whole world. After hearing his mother's promise, Yu, still in a bad mood, decides to end the conversation and informs her that he's going to take Chunky out for a walk. Aniko then reminds him to pick up his birthday present from the Locker Depot station, but Yu's mood remains unchanged. However, seeing that her son is upset, Aniko attempts to make amends by offering to share some information about his father when he returns. She also suggests that he takes his bike to ensure a speedy return. Eventually, Yu and Chunky depart. The scene transitions to Yu and Chunky walking to the depot station. Along the way, they stop at a manga store, but Yu is disappointed to find that the manga he was searching for is not available. Meanwhile, an elderly man at the store is surprised to see Yu again. As they continue walking, Yu passes by a TV store and sees news about the supernatural events happening in the city, causing him to contemplate. Yu's thoughts were abruptly interrupted when he spotted a kid about to retrieve his balloon on the street while a car was approaching him. In an instant, Yu threw his bike into the car's tire before sprinting towards the child and rescuing him from the impending danger. After reuniting the child with his mother, the old man from the manga store was amazed at Yu's bravery, but Yu was saddened by the damage to his bike. With his bike damaged, Yu decided to take a shortcut to the depot station on foot with Chunky by his side. Suddenly, Chunky stopped and began barking at a bridge tunnel opposite them, catching Yu off guard. As he wondered what was happening, he was shocked to witness a young woman with red hair being dragged by a man while she screamed for help. Yu had no other options left and jumped into the tunnel. Inside, he felt a chilling sensation, making him consider calling the police, but his phone had no signal. As he walked further, he noticed the same mysterious man from earlier staring at a wall. Suddenly, he spots a possessed man above him, making Yu run in terror. Unfortunately, he finds himself blocked by the red-haired lady he saw earlier, who was actually possessed all along. The scene shifts to Aniko, who is getting ready for Yu's birthday celebration. She sets everything up and checks the time on her phone while waiting for Yu to return. Suddenly, there is a knock on the door. Aniko opens it to find Chunky barking fiercely, and she wonders where Yu could be. The scene transitions back to Yu, who is startled by the sudden appearance of the possessed red-hair lady. He trips and drops his phone, leaving him in complete darkness. Frantically searching for his phone, he finds it and picks it up, right before using its flashlight to scan the area and discovers two possessed humans running towards him. He throws a bottle at one of them before running away, but is soon cornered by the red-hair lady, who ferociously attacks him, determined to consume his soul. As she prepares to launch a final attack, her two colleagues' heads are suddenly severed by Yu's mom, Aniko, who has arrived on the scene. Yu, relieved to see his mother's strength and abilities, started to lose consciousness. Aniko quickly attacked the red-haired demon, but the demon managed to dodge the attack. She then turned her attention to Yu, urging him to hold on, right before releasing a tremendous amount of energy. The demon attacked again, but Aniko carried Yu and skillfully dodged the attack. Aniko, being a crimson shinobi, launched a powerful kick to the demon's gut and pinned it against a wall. The demon was surprised to see Aniko's abilities, but Aniko was determined to end it and absorb the demon's soul. Yu, still in shock, watched as Aniko absorbed the demon's soul before she carried him and hurried home, determined to reveal everything to him. As they left the tunnel, the black halo demon that attacked the temple in the Crimson Shinobi 13 years ago appeared, wondering who could defeat two hell demons. He then notices a phone lying on the ground and picks it up. He noticed blood on the phone and licks it off, causing him to feel disgusted. The phone then suddenly opens, revealing a picture of Aniko and Yu. Excitement overtakes him as he realizes that the key to unlocking the first flame, Yu and Aniko were alive. The scene shifts to the unconscious Yu, who wakes up feeling startled. Aniko tells him to pack his things as they need to leave, but Yu demands an explanation about what he witnessed and how his mother was able to perform inhuman feats. Aniko remains silent as she continues to pack. Yu suddenly screams in pain, but then notices a dagger flying towards him. However, the dagger was actually targeting the demonic souls behind him, which were only visible to Aniko. The demons start possessing Yu, leaving him confused, but his mother saves him just in time by throwing her daggers and successfully exorcising the demons. Yu is still bewildered by this, but Aniko realizes that he cannot see the demons without her help. She then places her hands on Yu's head, releasing some of her energy. Yu opens his eyes and sees the demons heading towards him, but his mother slices through them with her sword, leaving Yu in shock. Yu is still amazed by his mother's incredible abilities after she destroys the demons. Aniko acknowledges that there is much she hasn't disclosed to him, but Yu is still perplexed about what the demons are, why Aniko has a glowing blade, and why she doesn't seem afraid as if she was expecting everything. Aniko clarifies that they are first hell demons, but in her homeland, they are referred to as others. As Aniko elaborates on the demons to Yu, we observe the first hell demons wandering about and possessing individuals outside, and the possessed individuals start rushing towards Yu's apartment. Yu soon realizes that the possessed individuals have broken through his apartment and decides to flee with Chunky, ignoring Aniko's warning to stay with her. While they ran through the apartment, the possessed individuals chased them, and they were eventually blocked by another group of possessed individuals, causing Yu to return to his mother. Upon returning to the apartment, Yu was shocked to see that his mother had defeated all of the possessed individuals. He asked if she had killed them all, but she clarified that they were just unconscious. Suddenly, a possessed person attacked Yu, but Aniko saved him by throwing her glowing saber and piercing through the head of the possessed, thereby absorbing the first hell demons within them. Aniko then created a symbol on the ground and urged Yu to stay within the force field, while she dealt with the remaining possessed individuals outside of it. As she fought, Aniko couldn't help but wonder who was responsible for possessing the humans. Meanwhile, Yu watched as the force field began to crack. Determined to tell her son the truth, Aniko explained that 13 years ago, on the night of his birth, she had to fake her death and flee her home, the Crimson Star Empire. This caused her to leave behind everything she loved, including Yu's father. A huge explosion suddenly happens, destroying their apartment, but Yu and Aniko survive due to being inside the force field. They see the Black Halo demon, who appears eager to see them, and informs Aniko that he plans to take the key, which is Yu, and use his blood to break the seal of the fallen demon. Yu is shocked by this, but Aniko interrupts his thoughts, revealing to him that the Black Halo demon is from the 6th Hell, the strongest among their kind, and has come to kill him. Aniko was determined to protect her child and strengthen the force field. However, the Black Halo was unfazed by this and launched countless attacks at the force shield. Eventually, the attacks pierced through the force field, but Aniko was able to block them using her secret ninja art. The Black Halo was shocked to see that Aniko still had some skills and saw her controlling many tenchi blades, which are energy foundations used by shinobi, such as Kai, Ki, and Chakra. Yu was also amazed by the feats his mother was performing. Aniko was determined to protect her child at all costs and struck the Black Halo with her tenchi blade, causing a massive explosion. However, the Black Halo suddenly appeared behind Yu, but Aniko saved him by punching the ground with her tenchi energy, creating a massive force that pushed both Yu and the Black Halo apart. As the force pushes Yu, his mother saves him once again with her tenchi blade, much to the annoyance of the Black Halo. Aniko continues to attack the Black Halo, but she is barely hanging on. As the Black Halo regains his footing, he charges at Aniko. Aniko tries to stop him with her tenchi blade, but he grabs it and uses his space manipulation technique to pierce through her chest. Helpless, Yu screams as he watches Aniko stare at the hole in her chest. The Black Halo pulls his arm out of Aniko's chest and grabs her by the neck, ready to kill her. Angered by this, Yu throws a big rock at the Black Halo, but it has no effect. The Black Halo prepares to use his space manipulation technique to attack Yu, but Aniko, who is at the brink of death, urges Yu to run before using her tenchi blade to push him far away. Aniko holds the Black Halo down with her leg and pins his arm with her tenchi blade, much to his annoyance. The scene then shifts to Yu, who has been launched into a forest, and he rushes back to his mother's location with tears in his eyes. Returning to Aniko and the Black Halo, they are still locked in battle. The Black Halo notices a ninja art sign on the ground, which he realizes is a death pact made by Aniko. He wonders when she made the signs and remembers that they were probably made by her tenchi blade during their fight. The Black Halo becomes frustrated and screams that Aniko's mere attack won't be enough to stop him. However, with just a little bit of life left in her, she screams that it will buy Yu some time, much to the Black Halo's surprise. As Yu drew closer to his mother's whereabouts, we could see Aniko's eyes filled with tears as she left her final message for him, knowing deep down that it may be their last interaction. Just as she finished, an ear-splitting explosion shattered the surroundings, leaving a trail of destruction and despair. With his heart pounding in his chest, Yu rushed to his mother's location, hoping against hope that she would be safe, but instead, he was met with a devastating sight, a massive explosion that had claimed the life of his beloved mother. In that moment, Yu's world fell apart, and he let out a heart-wrenching scream as tears streamed down his face, mourning the loss of someone who meant everything to him. The following sequence depicts Yu in a dream where he is celebrating his birthday with his mother. In the midst of blowing out the candles, the setting abruptly turns dark and he is horrified to discover his mother covered in blood. As he attempts to comprehend what is happening, a shadowy figure begins to pursue him, causing him to feel frightened. Seeking refuge, Yu enters a room and hastily locks the door, resting his back against it. However, his relief is short-lived as the Black Halo demon suddenly appears and accuses Yu of being responsible for his mother's demise. The demon reveals that Yu holds the key to his ascension and violently thrusts his arm through the door, seizing Yu by the neck. Yu jolts awake in terror, screaming, as he realizes he had just experienced a nightmare. As he comes to the realization that it was only a dream, he also remembers that the explosion may have caused him to lose consciousness. He wears a sorrowful expression as he contemplates the possibility of casualties in the blast. Driven by the hope that his mother may have survived, he sets out to the site of the explosion at a hurried pace. The scene transitions to the site of the explosion, where a journalist recounts the event to a reporter. Yu is stunned by the sight of the police, reporters, and crowd, causing him to question how long he had been unconscious. Upon realizing that his apartment has been destroyed, Yu resolves to enter, but faces obstruction due to the blockade. As he contemplates his next move, a police officer taps him on the shoulder, urging him to leave the crime scene. Yu desperately explains that a demon caused the explosion and that his mother may still be alive inside, but the officer delivers the heartbreaking news that it was impossible to survive such a massive explosion. Overcome with grief, Yu breaks down in tears and flees the scene. While running, he collides with a mysterious stranger who gives him an intense look. After briefly locking eyes, Yu apologizes and runs off, while the stranger continues to gaze at him. The scene changes to raindrops falling on the pavement as Yu finds himself stranded and unsure of what to do next. He ponders whether his mother defeated the demon or if the demon is still pursuing him. His thoughts overwhelm him, and he breaks down in tears, blaming himself for the tragic events. He shouts in despair, calling himself a coward and deserving to die alone to prevent anyone else from getting hurt. However, his emotional outburst is interrupted by Chunky, who approaches him with a beaming smile. This sight brings Yu to tears once more, and he embraces Chunky, the only remaining friend and family he has. The scene shifts to an apartment, where the elderly man from the manga store is awakened by the explosion. As he approaches the window to investigate, he recognizes Yu, the young boy who frequently visits his store. He is surprised to see the child out so late and wonders what he is doing there. We return to Yu, who is still struggling to accept the fact that his mother is dead. As he walks with Chunky, he contemplates whether to go back to the police and share his story in hopes of being believed. However, he dismisses the idea as he believes nobody would believe such a bizarre tale. With a heavy heart and an empty stomach, he is interrupted by the elderly man from the manga store, who inquires why he is out so late. The scene changes and we see Yu inside the old man's apartment, eating a sandwich wrap. The old man expresses his condolences upon hearing about Yu's mother's death. He then asks if Yu has any other family members he could contact, but Yu sadly explains that it has always been just him and his mother. The old man consoles Yu by saying that everyone has a family or two, and Yu mentions that he has a father but doesn't have a picture of him, leaving him with no way to find him. Thus, Chunky is his only family now. The old man tries to cheer Yu up by saying that he will one day meet his father, and suggests that Yu rest for the night since it's already late. This surprises Yu, but the old man explains that his daughter is at boarding school and Yu is welcome to spend the night. Yu thanks him, but expresses concern about not having any money to pay. The old man assures Yu that it's an adult's duty to look after the young, regardless of family ties, and Yu thanks him with tears in his eyes. The following morning, Yu wakes up to a bright flash of light shining through the window. He hears Chunky's sound and jumps up in shock, calling out his name and wondering what has happened to him. As he rushes down the stairs, he sees Chunky with the old man, who explains that he was just trying to clean Chunky, but the dog was reluctant. Yu sighs in relief and grabs onto Chunky. The old man then asks Yu if he slept well, to which Yu replies that he did. Yu expressed his gratitude to the old man for giving him a shirt, and the old man inquired about his plans for the future. Yu replied that he didn't have any plans and was considering going to a homeless shelter. The old man suggested that he should at least try going to the police station to see if they could help him in any way, and Yu agreed to give it a try. As Yu arrives at the police station, he greets the officer in custody and explains that he is searching for his father or any family member associated with him. The officer asks several questions, including his name and his mother's name. Unfortunately, upon checking the data provided by Yu, the officer is unable to find anything or anyone associated with his surname, Kensuke. This leaves Yu to ponder sadly, wondering if he could possibly be the only person in the world with the surname Kensuke. The police officer interrupts Yu's thoughts by inquiring about his mother, but Yu sadly reveals that his mother passed away the previous day. The officer then informs Yu that since he is a minor and has no guardian, he will need to be taken into social services, which frightens Yu as he realizes that Chunky would be left alone. Suddenly, the old man appears and explains that Yu lives with him, and when the officer asks about their relationship, the old man states that he is a family friend. They then thank the officer for his time and assistance before departing. After leaving the station, the elderly man informed Yu that he was headed back to his shop and extended an invitation for Yu to join him. He explained that he had a spare room available and offered it to Yu, with the condition that Yu would assist in managing the shop. Yu eagerly accepted the offer, expressing gratitude to the old man, who was initially startled by Yu's sudden excitement. After apologizing for the surprise, the old man inquired about Yu's age, to which Yu revealed that they had just turned 14 the day before. The old man smiled warmly and placed a hand on Yu's shoulder, urging them to return home and celebrate his birthday. This excited Yu even more. After accepting the old man's offer, Yu's life took a new turn. He spent much of his time helping out in the old man's manga store and conducting research on demons at night in the hopes of finding a connection to the demon that had taken his mother's life. Yu also maintained his training regimen, and as time passed, 3 months slipped by with ease as he continued to repeat this routine. 3 months had passed and we see Yu standing at the entrance of his old apartment, the very place where his mother had died. To his surprise, the apartment had been cleared out. Lost in thought, Yu was interrupted by the old man, who questioned why he came to this place every month. Realizing that this was Yu's former residence, the old man asked if it was where Yu had last seen his mother. Yu confirmed this, stating that he missed her dearly every day. The old man tried to console him, sharing that he had also experienced the pain of losing his wife. Their conversation shifted as the old man mentioned that the authorities had not been able to catch the person responsible for the explosion that killed Yu's mother. Yu corrected him, revealing that it wasn't a person but rather something he couldn't explain. The old man was confused and urged Yu to explain further. Yu shared that on the night of his mother's death, there had been an explosion caused by a demon that had come for him. His mother had done everything she could to ensure that he survived, but he knew that the demon was still out there and he is determined to be ready for the day when it returned. After Yu finished explaining, he noticed that the old man was staring at him with a blank expression, prompting him to break the silence. However, the old man quickly dismissed the conversation and stated that he was heading back home. Yu mentioned that he still had to walk Chunky, and as the old man left, Yu's expression turned sad as he realized that the old man didn't believe his story. Yu continued his walk with Chunky, but was suddenly startled by a mirage of the black halo demon behind him, which quickly turned out to be just a cat. This experience made Yu realize that he was living in a new reality and fueled his determination to find answers. The scene transitions to Yu exercising, and after finishing, the old man walks in and mentions that he needs to visit his doctor the next day. He urges Yu to help open his shop early, to which Yu agrees. As the old man is leaving, he expresses his surprise at seeing Yu working out and jokingly asks if he's preparing to fight demons. This prompts a good laugh between Yu and the old man before he exits. After the old man left, Yu's expression suddenly changed, and we see him equipping himself with clothes and bags. He puts a baseball bat behind his bag and declares that he is ready. Yu explains that for the past few months, he has been researching the things that attacked him and his mother on the day of her death. However, he couldn't find any useful information, so he resorted to the dark web to find out more about what he saw in the tunnel. He understands that people may not believe him, and since the demons are after him, he can't get anyone else involved. Determined to prevent any more lives from being lost, Yu is committed to finding a way to end the demons for good. Upon confirming that the old man was asleep, Yu quietly tiptoed down the stairs but was halted by Chunky. Yu gestured to Chunky to remain silent before offering him a bone, which Chunky happily accepted. With Chunky now appeased, Yu was able to sneak out of the house undetected as he began his search for a way to defeat the demons pursuing him. The next scene shows Yu perched on a rooftop, scanning the area he believes is a hotspot for demon activity due to the recurring incidents reported in the area. As he waits for something to happen, he begins to feel tired and yawns, wondering when he will be able to perform the magical feats his mother did. Suddenly, his attention is drawn to a suspicious-looking kid around his age sneaking around in the street below. Yu decides to follow the kid and ends up watching him jump over a gate and enter an abandoned building. Curious as to why a child would venture into an abandoned building alone, Yu decides to follow him inside. The scene transitions and we find Yu already inside the abandoned building, searching for the mysterious kid. As he moves around, he wonders where the kid could have gone, and he soon spots a staircase which he climbs. Upon reaching the top floor, Yu suddenly stops, feeling a strong chill run down his spine. Realizing that something is off, Yu soon picks up a disgusting scent, which frightens him. As he wonders where the scent is coming from, he is interrupted by the mysterious kid, Shin, who pokes him and calls out to him, "Hey dude." Yu, still frightened, places his hands behind his back and grabs his bat, prepared to defend himself. However, Shin urges him to calm down and explains that he knew Yu was following him. The situation calms down, and Shin urges Yu to leave as the place they are in isn't safe. Yu, without paying much heed, questions why Shin isn't fazed by the foul scent of the building, which smells like something died in it for years. Shin explains that there is a human who is about to be demonized, and if he doesn't act fast, things will get dangerous, much to Yu's confusion. Shin then requested Yu to keep his voice down and explained that if the entity hears them, they will be at their most vulnerable. After saying goodbye and urging Yu to leave as soon as possible, Yu caught Shin's attention by asking if the vulnerable entity was a demon. Shin stopped in shock and questioned who Yu was and how he knew about the first hell entities. He then confirmed that if he doesn't exorcise the demon immediately, the human would be fully demonetized, which shocked Yu. Yu then explained that his mum was killed by demons and asked if Shin could really exorcise them. Shin confirmed that he could exorcise the demon and that he was in a hurry because the scent of rotting flesh meant the human was on the verge of demonization. Yu asked if exorcism was still possible after that point, to which Shin replied with a stern look that the only option left at that point was to kill the demon. Shin went on to explain that since Yu had witnessed the demons himself, he wouldn't be breaking any rules by assisting. Additionally, he would like to participate in an ancient ritual soon, which was a trial he had to go through in order to use tenchi, a skill that trained shinobi use to manipulate energy. Yu was curious about this and asked who Shin really was. Shin, with a determined expression, explained that he is not from the area and the only reason he's currently there is that there was an explosion is that his brother is currently investigating. He continued by saying that if his brothers find out that he single-handedly saved a human, he would have no choice but to let him take part in the trial of the shinobi ritual. Yu, upon hearing this, asked if Shin had ever exorcised a demon before. Shin explained that he cannot manipulate tenchi, which is why he cannot see the first hell entities unless they possess someone. Thus, this is his first time exorcising a demon. However, he knows of a musical instrument that can break the demon's possession of the human. Yu asked excitedly if Shin had the instrument with him, but Shin explained that he didn't have it and even if he did, he wouldn't know how to play it. He quickly urged Yu to wait and then removed a cotton plug from his nose, which made Yu realize why he wasn't bothered by the foul scent of the place. As Shin sniffed around, he shouted in horror at how terrible the smell was, realizing that time was running out. Shin ran towards the room where the scent was coming from, urging Yu to leave. As he entered the room, a certain seal behind the door burned away, which he was unaware of. The scene shifts to reveal a mysterious shinobi in the same location as Shin and Yu, and a seal he carries burns just like the one on the door, making him realize that someone has broken his seal. As the scene returns to Shin, he is surprised to find an empty room and wonders where the foul smell is coming from. Yu interrupts him, urging him to be cautious. Shin tells Yu to leave while he can, however they are both shocked to see a demon behind Yu. Yu was terrified as the creature suddenly attacked him, but Shin pushed him out of harm's way and took the brunt of the demon's attack. With Shin's hand injured, the monster advanced towards them. Yu, realizing that Shin was defenseless, grabbed his bat and rushed towards the demon, only to find that the bat broke upon impact. The demon then grabbed Yu, but a mysterious object from above fell and crushed the demon, saving Yu's life. After the close call, Yu rushed to Shin's aid, but the demon quickly stood up, even angrier than before. It grabbed Yu again and prepared to attack, leaving Yu to consider his options. As he looked around, he noticed an open ceiling above him and quickly grabbed an iron rod, stabbing the demon with it. The scene changes to show Yu and Shin running while Yu asks how they can defeat the demon without the instrument. Shin tells him to forget about it and explains that he can sense negative energy coming from the demon. Next, the demon is shown rampaging, using its testicles to break through the ceilings, much to the shock of Yu and Shin. As they run away, the demon jumps down and starts chasing them. It attacks them and Yu and Shin duck, causing Shin to drop his phone. Unfortunately, the demon catches Yu and prepares to devour him. In a desperate attempt to save Yu, Shin screams, "Play Go to Hell," at his phone. The phone initially doesn't understand, but Shin repeats the command, causing the phone to play the sound, "Go to Hell." The sound causes the demon pain as it covers its ears and drops Yu. After meeting up with Shin, Yu inquired about the source of the echo. Shin then revealed that his friend was able to mimic the frequency of the enchanted musical instrument that was capable of exorcising demons. With this new knowledge, they decided to head towards the exit, but their progress was halted when Shin's phone suddenly turned off. Annoyed by the setback, Yu attempted to knock down the door, but it was too late as the demon had already recovered and blocked their path. As the demon charged towards them, a sphere of ice appeared around Shin and Yu, seemingly created by the mysterious shinobi who was revealed to be Shin's brother. After being relieved that someone was there to save them, Shin's brother throws ice crystals at the door, freezing it before urging them to escape. Yu kicks the door, breaking it, and they make their way out. With only the demon and Shin's brother left in the room, he jumps down, prepared to fight. As Shin and Yu watch from afar, Yu questions whether his brother can really take on the demon, but he confidently assures him that he can. The scene then shifts to the battle between Shin's brother and the monster. He dashes towards the monster and sends an ice attack, which it barely manages to dodge. Taking advantage of the monster's distraction, he attacks from above, but the monster notices and uses its testicles to split him in half, causing you to be frightened while Shin maintains an awfully calm expression. Suddenly, Shin's brother appears behind the monster and launches a devastating kick to its head, leaving you shocked and amazed by his strength. After the monster was weakened, it still managed to summon some strength and grabbed Shin's brother by the leg before throwing him onto a wall and launching several attacks at him. However, Shin's brother was able to block all of these attacks using his ice technique. He then proceeded to freeze the demon's testicles before dashing towards it and delivering a powerful knee strike. He attempted to follow it up with a punch, but the demon tried to counter, forcing him to change his attack and instead deliver a swift kick to its face. This caused the demon to be launched backwards onto a wall, while Shin brother slowly approached it with a menacing stare. You noticed a sudden change in the atmosphere, as the demon screamed in agony and emitted a tremendous amount of negative energy. Shin realized that the human was almost fully demonized and urgently yelled at his elder brother, telling him that there was little time left. Upon realizing that the human was almost demonized, Shin's brother unleashes an ultimate attack that completely freezes the demon. As Yu watches in awe, Shin's brother approaches the demon, unsheathes his devourer, and consumes the demon's soul. Yu, puzzled by what just happened, asks Shin for an explanation, to which he explains that his brother's devourer is used to consume negative energies and imprison evil entities. As the demon is absorbed, the human slowly transforms back to her normal form. Shin's brother sheaths his devourer and takes hold of the woman, explaining that he had to hold back during the battle because he sensed her clinging on to her humanity. While Yu is shocked to see her transformation, Shin breathes a sigh of relief. Shin's brother approached them with anger, disappointed that they had ruined his week of reconnaissance. However, Shin yelled at him, explaining that he thought he would be proud of him for saving a possessed human. He also expressed his frustration that his brother was always busy with secret clan missions and never had time for him. Shin's brother then revealed that he had kept the woman in the room using his time-freezing technique in order to investigate the frequent demonic possessions happening to civilians. He explained that by breaking into the room, they had disrupted his time-freeze technique, and it wasn't that the woman was getting demonized any quicker, but rather that his time freeze was catching up. He was disappointed that Shin didn't know something as basic as that. As Yu attempts to defend Shin, Shin's brother drops the female human and swiftly taps Shin's shoulder, knocking him out as he states that he has seen too much. Yu then loses consciousness, but before he does, he sees Shin's brother expressing his concern for Shin's safety. He urges Shin not to do anything dangerous and warns him not to discuss the shinobi ritual, as he is the only family that Shin has left and he does not want him to get hurt. After this, Yu loses consciousness completely. At daybreak, Yu is seen sleeping soundly, but suddenly wakes up to a slap from the formerly demonized woman. Yu apologizes to her and asks if she remembers what happened the previous day, but the woman doesn't want to hear anything from him, as she explains that she has been homeless for days and orders him to leave, which he does. Upon arriving at the old man's apartment, Yu realizes that he had promised to help him open his store. As he tries to open the door, the old man appears to have already opened it from the inside and looks at Yu sternly, asking where he had been. Caught off guard, Yu stammers and explains that he had gone for a jog, but the old man reminds him of their agreement and questions why he is covered in dust. Feeling guilty, Yu apologizes and promises not to repeat his mistake before quickly heading to the shower. The scene shifts to Yu in the bathroom, where he is taking a shower. As he washes himself, he contemplates the demon attack and the events of the previous day. Suddenly, he cries out in pain, but he quickly suppresses it as he doesn't want the old man to hear. He puts the pain aside and begins to worry about what would have happened if the demons had come back and possessed the woman. He realizes that he wouldn't have been able to do anything to help, as he can barely protect himself. He wonders how Shin's brother was able to fight so well, and this thought reminds him of his mother. He concludes that only Shin and his brother have the answers to his problem. The scene shifts back to the store where we see Yu looking tired. The old man asks if he needs a break, but Yu insists that he's fine. The old man looks concerned about Yu's recent behavior, and Yu fears that he may have noticed that he took his baseball bat. The tension is broken when the old man jokes about Yu secretly going out on dates with girls, which makes Yu laugh. Yu then explains that he's not interested in relationships and has more important things to do, but the old man urges him to let him know when he starts dating so he can give him tips, boasting that he was a ladies' man in his prime. As night approaches, we see Yu lying on his bed and reflecting on how despite gathering information about the demons, he was powerless when he encountered them. He felt just as helpless as he did when his mum had to protect him. He recalls Shin's brother and decides to find him since he wants to become a shinobi. Yu was in the middle of a lively banter when he was interrupted by an old man who invited him for dinner. The two of them shared a meal, and Yu was quick to compliment the old man's cooking skills. But as the old man lit a cigarette, Yu felt a twinge of concern and pointed out that smoking was bad for his health. The old man then confided in Yu about his tragic past. He revealed that his wife had passed away, and that he had picked up the smoking habit in the aftermath of her death. As Yu asked about his wife, the old man shared that she had taken her own life, and that he had not been able to prevent it. With tears streaming down his face, the old man opened up about how he had been too busy running his shop to notice the changes in his wife's behavior. He believed that he had neglected her, and that if he had been more supportive, things might have turned out differently. Yu listened with a heavy heart as the old man blamed himself for his wife's death. Yu then hugged the old man tightly, reassuring him that it wasn't his fault. Despite the old man's guilt and regret, Yu reminded him that he couldn't have known what was happening and that he had done the best he could. As the old man's mood began to lighten, he thanked Yu for his kindness and compassion. But for Yu, the encounter was a painful reminder that sometimes, the people we love suffer in silence and that we can't always save them. The following day, we see Yu at Sun Valley University, reminiscing about his conversation with the old man the previous night. The old man had shared that his relationship with his daughter had worsened after she held him responsible for his wife's death. He also revealed that she had moved to her university dorm 4 months ago, and despite several attempts to reach out to her, she didn't respond to any of his calls. Yu had come to the university to search for the old man's daughter in a conventional way, but the guard at the entrance stopped him, stating that it was against the rules to enter the premises without an ID or email invitation. Yu was left with no choice but to find another way to enter the university. As he approached the school's boundary, he pondered over whether to climb over the wall. However, he noticed a truck nearby and came up with a clever idea. The next scene shows Yu hanging on the side of the truck as it enters the school grounds. Once inside, he heads to the reception area and inquires about a student named Urini Tanaka. However, the receptionist informs him that Urini has not attended classes for a month and is at risk of losing her accommodation. Yu is taken aback by this news and questions the receptionist to confirm that she has the correct person. After confirming her identity using her father's name, Hideki Tanaka, Yu is left wondering what could have happened to Urini. The scene then shifts to a mysterious man who is seen watching all of this through a CCTV camera. Returning to the store, the old man eagerly inquired if Yu had found his daughter. To spare the old man's feelings, Yu fibbed that he couldn't gain entry because he lacked an email invitation, but he had left a letter for her. The old man breathed a sigh of relief, assuming that his daughter was merely hard at work in school. The scene shifts back to Yu, who is seen lost in thought in his bedroom. As he considers recent events, the demonic woman in the tunnel, the possessed woman from a few days ago, the old man's deceased wife, and his daughter's sudden disappearance, he wonders if everything is interconnected. With Shin's brother words about someone orchestrating events in mind, Yu stands up, determined to gather more information. The scene changes to Yu, who is in the abandoned apartment late at night. He starts shouting, "Hey ugly demons, your time is up, and the bald shinobi is onto you. You are all going to pay for possessing women." He then picks up a stick and begins hitting it on the floor while screaming, "Shinobi alert." When his method of calling out to Shin brother doesn't work, he decides to give up. However, he is surprised when Shin brother suddenly jumps down and approaches him, questioning what he was doing and how he knew that the entities were after women. Yu smiles and explains that it was just a guess, apologizing for frustrating Shin brother as he thought it was the only way to lure him out. Shin brother explains that Yu's banging interrupted his mission and asks what Yu wants. With a determined look on his face, Yu explains that he needs his help, stating that someone very close to him may lose their child, and he thinks it's related to the entities. After an awkward moment of silence, Shin's brother refused to help Yu without hesitation, stating that it was not part of his mission. Yu passionately argued that someone's life was at stake, but Shin's brother explained that the battle between shinobi and demons had been raging for centuries, and many bloodlines had been wiped out. He urged Yu not to be selfish because of one life. As Shin's brother walks away, Yu desperately blocks his path and expresses his disappointment that, after hearing so much praise about him from his brother, he expected him to be faultless. He even believed that if he were half as strong as Shin's, his mother would still be alive. Yu questions if older brothers always put down their younger siblings. This angers Shin's brother, and he grabs Yu by the chest, giving him a fierce look and reminding him that he is protecting his brother's safety. Yu then explains that his mother thought she was protecting him by keeping him in the dark, but now she is dead, and he feels powerless against the entities. After hearing this, Shin's brother questioned whether Yu's mother knew about the entities, to which Yu replied affirmatively, adding that she was from a place called the Crimson Star Empire. Shin's brother dropped Yu down and asked him why he didn't tell him about his mother earlier. With no other option left, Shin's brother asked for the girl's name, and Yu responded with, Urini. This prompted Shin's brother to fly out in an instant, much to Yu's annoyance. However, Yu suddenly smiled in gesture as he realized that he can finally find out where the Crimson Star Empire is. After returning to the old man's apartment, Yu begins searching for Shin's brother's location using the tracker he placed on him during their encounter. However, he notices that the location keeps changing, which frustrates him. Suddenly, his thoughts are interrupted by a dagger flying through his window, hitting the wall and frightening him. Upon examining the dagger, he sees that there is some content attached to it, including a paper and something wrapped in cloth. After unwrapping the cloth, he is shocked to see the tracker he placed on Shin's brother. When he checks the paper, he reads a message from Shin's brother, which states that he should be at the Edo Bridge at 12 p.m. As Yu contemplates the broken glass, we catch a glimpse of Shin's brother covertly observing him from a distance atop a nearby building. The following day, we see Yu riding in an Uber, almost arriving at the designated location. As soon as he arrives, he walks straight towards the Edo Bridge, but Shin's brother is nowhere to be found. Yu checks the time and starts to wonder where he is. While standing on the bridge, he suddenly jumps down and notices a torii under the bridge. However, his thoughts are soon interrupted as Shin's brother throws a mysterious red glowing gem at him. He urges Yu to step on it, but Yu hesitates. Shin's brother insists, and Yu finally complies. As he steps on the gem, the ground starts to mysteriously turn red, and the roots on the floor attach to the torii, creating a portal that shocks Yu. Shin's brother appeared beside the portal and explained that it was a gateway, prompting Yu to ask where it leads. He explained that it leads to where he is from, and since Shin has questions about his identity and his mother's identity, it would be better for him to find answers on the other side. Yu was shocked, but Shin's brother reassured him that there was no need to worry since his mother was a shinobi, and he was one too. Plus, Shin had been dying to see him again. However, Yu expressed his concern about finding Urini Tanaka, but Shin's brother interrupted him by offering to investigate it for him, much to Yu's excitement. Before departing, Shin's brother warned Yu that his life would be forever changed once he entered the portal. Despite this, Yu was determined to find answers about his mother's connection to the Crimson Star Empire. As they prepared to enter the portal, Shin's brother secured a root around Yu's body, causing him to feel fearful as they were pulled into the unknown. As they traversed through the mystic portal, Yu stumbled and inadvertently collided with Shin, who eagerly awaited their arrival. After exchanging warm salutations, Yu was overtaken by a sudden bout of vomiting, causing the rest of the group to worry for his well-being. To their dismay, Shin's brother attributed this to Yu's vulnerability, much to Yu's frustration. Nevertheless, Yu's countenance swiftly transformed as he beheld the resplendent grandeur of the Crimson Star Empire, leaving him awestruck and breathless.